NLP, and brain-computer interaction. Presently, Dr. Gupta has completed a wireless sensor project funded by CST, Uttar Pradesh. Dr. Gupta is reviewer of many journals such as Computer Network, Wireless Personal Communication, IEEE Transactions, and many more. Gupta is a part of project funded by Royal Academy of Science, London, entitled with Leading India.ai. So under this project, Dr. Gupta has organized 50 plus workshops on deep learning and IoT. He has more than 35 plus research articles and authored 2 books and 2 book chapters in his account. We are very fortunate to have Dr. Gupta. I carry forward this session to you, sir.
Okay, so thank you, Pawan, for the nice introduction. And just we go with today's session. So before that, good afternoon to all of you. And I think all of you have interacted with the deep learning, machine learning in past 2-3 days. And hopefully all of you have some basic idea about it. So today I'm going to cover an introduction about the CNN, a small introduction, as well as neural network, how neural network is working, and what is the error function. Okay, and then we go with our classification model for the symptotic and asymptotic chaotic plaque. Okay, and beside it, we also discuss about the different kind of evaluation matrices, because in case of in the domain of medical, some constraints are there, and we also discuss about kind of DOR, diagnostics, order ratio, then different kind of statistical tests are also there. Okay, so all just we discuss about, but yeah, of course, so because our paper is already published, so we are not going in too much detail about that paper. So just we discuss about what is the problem statement, okay, and what kind of data I have used for the experiment purpose, what kind of techniques we have applied. So all such kind of things just we can discuss. Okay, even though you can write the question in your chat window, okay, and I have 2 lab sessions, one with respect to what we did in research article, and another one is the normal CNN lab exercise. So those participants who are new in the domain of deep learning, they simply go with the CNN lab, and there they are try to learn how CNN model is working. Okay, so just we start with my presentation, and let's see. Okay, so I think my screen is visible. Okay, and just we start. So the title of my talk is 3D optimized classification and characterization, artificial intelligence paradigm for cardiovascular stroke risk satisfaction using carotid ultrasound based delineated block. Okay, so basically here we later on we discuss about the what we called this problem. Before that, just I'll quickly start with the neural network. So hardly 1 or 2 slides I'll discuss. Okay, so if you have any question, then you can ask. So here just you can see, so basically this deep neural network is a kind of, it's basically mimicking the behavior of human brain. So here just you can see that some nodes are there. So basically in deep learning, or you can say that in neural network. So one input layer is there. So basically input layer is responsible for taking the information from the user. Okay, so here one more thing is there, what kind of information? Let's say we are talking about information. So information is nothing, maybe you can pass the feature. So always remember what we are doing, we try to classify suppose we want to build a model for the classification. So we do the classification on the basis of some feature actually. Okay. So if we talk about, suppose we build a model for the vegetable and fruits. Okay, so some features are there like color. On the basis of color, we can classify. On the basis of taste, we can classify. On the basis of minerals, we can classify. Okay, so some should be, means there should be some criteria, or you can say that there should be some kind of feature, and on the basis of that features, you are able to classify. So at input layer, you can pass the feature, the information goes inside the network, okay, whatever information you will pass, and some kind of processing is there, okay. So I think all of you know about weight and bias, okay. Okay, so here just you can see two hidden layers are there. So in case of deep learning, at least 2 to 3 hidden layers should be there. And why it is known as hidden layer? Because the user can interact only with the either input layer or the output layer, and there is no interaction with uh, intermediate layers. That's why it is known as hidden layers. Now, what kind of operation is there in between the layers? So just we have a kind of intuition that, so some kind of mathematical operations are there, and on the basis of that mathematical operations, results are generated. So in later slide, in next slide, you have a very better visibility of the neural network. So here just you can see a very simple example, and let's say my objective is to classify. Sorry, my objective is to find the price of the my objective is to find the price of a computer. Okay, so as we know that a computer price is dependent on RAM size, okay, screen size, hard disk size, then processor speed, then RAM size. So these are some fundamental features, and these features are responsible to decide the price of a computer. Okay, so here just you can see this is your input layer, and in input layer, what we are passing? We are passing these features. Obviously, these features in terms of numeric value actually. Okay, so just we had to pass some of the numeric value in the neural network. Okay, and with respect to each feature, some weights are there. Okay, so initially we start with the random weights, but if you train your model, okay, model training means just you pass different kind of features with different values. So again and again, when model will get trained, at that time, what will happen? These weights will be optimized. Okay, so in neural network or in deep learning, what we are trying to do? So model training means optimization of the weight and bias. So, okay, as and when we pass the data, model will get trained and update the weight and bias. So what do you mean by the updation of the weight and bias? So let's say now weight is W, okay? So after one epoch, it is W dash. Another epoch, it is W2 dash, W3 dash, likewise. I'm talking about the mathematically, okay? There is no numeric values are there. Now, so next thing is that how this weight will be updated. So weight updation means, okay, either you reduce some small value in the existing weight, or what you can do, you can add some small value in the weight. So updation means both the things are possible. Now the question is that how these weights and biases will be updated. So the question means the answer of this question is that, okay, so just you pass in the intermediate layer, then data, just you compute the y cap. Okay, so now y cap, what do you mean by the y cap? So y cap means it is a predicted value. Okay, so let's say means just screen size is let's say just I'm taking one example, 15.6 inch. Okay, this is 1 terabyte. then processor speed is 7i, just I'm talking. Okay, RAM size is 4 GB, and then battery time is 10 hour. Okay, so these values you have passed. Your model has predicted, let's say, 40,000. Okay, but you have the actual value. Okay, so for such kind of configuration, you have the actual value, and actual value is your, let's say, we denote it as a y, and y is 48,000. Okay, so this is your predicted value, and this is your actual value. Okay, so now we have to calculate the error. Okay, so what model has given and what is actual. So for calculation of the error, we go with this formula, mean square error. Okay, so in this mean square error, what we are doing, we are passing the predicted value, so that is 40,000. Actual value is 48,000. Okay, just you minus it, take the square, and this is only for one sample. Now let's say you have the nth sample, so you have to go with the n time, or you have to calculate this value for all the nth sample and take the average. So our objective is to minimize this error. So for the minimization of this error, we have to change the weight and bias. Okay, so once you have calculated the error, on the basis of error, just you calculate the gradient of the error and update the weight and bias. So let's say previously it was W4, so now it is W4 dash. W5, so now it is W dash 5. Rest of the things, let's say it is common, as well as there is no change in the bias. It is again B. Okay, so two important concepts are there in the in the neural network. One is the forward propagation, another one is the backward propagation. So in forward propagation, just we are calculating the loss, and in backward propagation, we have to update the weight and bias. So just you can see at here. Okay, so your input X is there. Okay, and just this input will pass throughout the layers in different layer and come at there at the last layer. So at the last layer, just we have to compute the y cap, or just you can say that predicted value. Okay, on the basis of this predicted value, what you can do, you just update the weight and bias at the last layer. Okay, so let's say in last layer you have provided the change. With respect to change in the last layer, you have to update the weight and bias in the second last layer. Then again, with the help of, with respect to second last layer, you have to update the weight and bias in third last layer. So likewise, and you come at here. Again, the whole weight and bias will be updated. So what you can do, again, you have to calculate the loss with respect to new weight and bias. Again, you have to update. Again, you have to calculate. Again, you have to update. Again, you have to calculate. In similar fashion, you have to iterate many times. So what will happen after certain number of epoch? Okay, after certain number of the epoch, means you will reach to the optimal state where there is no change in the weight and bias, and maybe possible your model will providing a kind of less performance. That case may be possible. Okay, so what is our overall objective? Our overall objective is to find the set of weight and bias in such a manner that loss should be minimum. This is the overall objective in case of deep learning. Okay, so what we did, just we go with that one. So this is an introduction about the neural network. Now we come to the convolution neural network. So basically in convolution neural network, okay, so before that I'll talk about the artificial neural network. So let's say in artificial neural network, let's say you have a image of size 28 by 28. Okay, so in that case, at input layer, okay, let's say each pixel is acting as a feature. So if you multiply it, then it is equal to 784. So at input layer, you required 784 nodes. Okay, in case of artificial neural network, we will go with the, we have to pass all the features in terms of vector. Okay, and then information goes inside the network. Okay, I don't know how many layers are there. Okay, likewise, and at the output layer, just you find the output. Okay, but in case of convolution neural network, what we are doing actually, so we are passing the 2D data. Okay, so you can pass the 2D data. You can say that you will pass the matrix. Okay, so suppose you have the colored images, then number of channel is 3. If you are passing black and white images, then number of channel is 1. In convolution, what is actually happening? So convolution operation is nothing. It's a point-wise multiplication of two functions. Okay, so let's say two functions are there, fx multiplied by gx, then it will generate a new function named as hx. So here what we are doing, so two functions to produce a third function. Primary objective of convolution is in CNN is to extract the feature from the input image. Okay, so I think all of you have basic idea about the machine learning. So in case of machine learning, if you are working on the machine learning, then one major step is there that is named as feature engineering. Okay, so feature engineering step is there. So basically in feature engineering, what you are doing, you are trying to extract the important feature. With the help of that feature, you are able to classify your data. Okay, but in case of convolution neural network, there is no need to go with feature engineering step. Okay, your model automatically extract the important feature from the training data set. And first it will extract the feature and then go for the classification purpose. So in convolution operation, what is actually happening? In convolution operation is nothing, it's a point-wise multiplication of two functions. Okay, and it generates a new, or you can say that, third function. So primary purpose of convolution in CNN is to extract the important information. Okay, how this convolution operation will happen? So what we can do, whatever the filter is there, we have to pass that filter throughout the image. So first in X direction, then in Y direction. Okay, so after applying the convolution filter, whatever output you will get, that is convolved map, you can say that, feature map, you can say that, or activation map, you can say that. Okay, so here just you can see just one very simple example is there. So this is your matrix. Okay, the size of the matrix is 6 by 6, and I think all of you know that what is image. So image is nothing, it's a kind of matrix. Okay, so let's say if you have the image, you can print it directly and you will get some numeric value. Okay, so let's say size of the matrix is 28 by 28, then what will happen? Okay, so the size of your matrix is 28 by 21. So pixel value means everywhere pixel value is there. Okay, so very simple. So now what we can do, just we can see. So here this is your input. So maybe let's say the size of your image is 49096 by 4096. Okay, so in place of 6 by 6, this is your input matrix. Here the convolution filter is 3 by 3. Okay, so now here just you can see some values are there inside the convolution filter, but in case of deep learning, okay, these values are represented as W1, W2, W3, W4, W5, W6, W7, W8, W9, because all the weights are randomly generated. Okay, so here for the understanding purpose we have fixed it 1 0 minus 1, but while we are talking about CNN, these are the random values. Okay, so randomly we start, and after certain epoch the weights and bias will be updated. Okay, that set is actually optimized set. So just we can see that how it is working. So we have applied this filter over at this section. Okay, now anyone can say that means this is 3 by 3, 3 by 3. How here this single operation is there? So with respect to this single, this uh, submatrix, the value is -5. So how it is there? So just you can see 3 into 1 plus 0 into 0 plus 1 into -1, then 1 into +1 plus 5 into 0 plus 8 into -1. Okay, so all are the plus. So 2 into 1 plus 7 into 0 plus 2 into -1. So 2 into -1, so this cancel, plus 1, -1 cancel. So at the last part is there, so -8 plus 3 equal to -5. So here just in this manner we have calculated -5. Similarly, you go with this operation, so -4, and rest of the things are simply you can fill that matrix. Okay, so now we come to the another important thing. So any question is there, so just I can take quickly. Okay, okay, fine. So you can means anyone can type your question, so I'll take it. Okay, not every time just when I'll say that I address all the questions. So now this is convolution operation. Here just you can see after applying the convolution filter, just you can see the size of the matrix will automatically reduce. And this is here it is 6 by 6, here it is 4 by 4. So very simple formula is there, n minus n plus 1. So 6 minus 3 plus 1 equal to 4, and this is 4 by 4. Okay, so just we go with, now we take another intuition. So just you can see, uh, okay, so here just you can see, so maybe possible this section is working as a feature. This section maybe this portion, okay, maybe this portion, anything can be. So with respect to this section, just you can see the curve of this section is like this. And here just you can see, if we move like this, okay, if we draw it, okay, sorry, this is not, just I am remove it. Okay, fine, no problem. So if you see, if you print all these 30 values, then it is looking like this one. Okay. So similarly, if you talk about this, let's say this section is acting as a feature. So for that, we had to, our matrix should be like this. Okay. So I'm just quickly giving an idea. Exactly, maybe possible it will not match, but yeah, of course I'll try to give you. So it is like 30, 30, 30, and then movement is there like this. Okay, so 30, so it is like this. So we have to increase the size of the matrix also. Okay, so just you can see it here 30, here 30, and here 30. So basically what is my objective to let you know about it. So in a convolution network, okay, in convolution neural network, what is actually happening? So we decide the number of filters, and each filter try to extract the important information, and that important information is useful for classifying the things. Okay, so let's say in place of this mice, maybe possible your medical domain data is there. Okay, erratic plot I just mentioned in my talk. So suppose I have the data, okay, and in that data, if you apply such kind of CNN model, then this model automatically trying to extract the important information. So first try to extract the important information, and then model go for the classification purpose. Okay, so now because in my talk I will discuss about the pre-trained model also. So just I'll discuss about one small one architecture. So this is a very famous architecture. In later slide, we can discuss how we can use the LXNet or BG16 or what we call the Inception v3, LayNet, GoogleNet, JeffNet. Many pre-trained models are there. And it is important. So always remember, let's say you are working on the classification problem, then you have to compare the performance of your CNN model with respect to pre-trained model, as well as you have to compare the performance with machine learning model also. And in case of medical domain data, if let's say you are working on a live project, at that time the number of samples are very less. Okay, so if number of samples are very less at that time, these pre-trained models will help a lot. Okay, so just we talk about this LXNet. Okay, so here just you can see the size of your input images 223 by 223 and 3. This is one of the important slide. All the slides are important, but all of you just give means more focus on this slide, because if you are able to understand this architecture, then you can understand the architecture of any pre-trained model. Okay, even though VG16, even though Inception and all, mobile native. Okay, so please see it here, because while you are going to implement this model, or when you will pass the data at here, uh, means lots of challenges the candidate will face due to the dimension mismatch generally. Okay, and where you have to provide the changes. So all such kind of things you have to understand right here. Okay, so first of all, just I'll discuss you. So basically this model was trained for image size 227 by 227 by 3. So 3 is nothing, basically it is showing the number of channels. So here just you can see 3 channels are there, RGB. Okay, if you are working on the black and white images, so number of channel is, this is 1. Okay, now here just you can see this is called here one filter is there, and the size of this filter is 11 by 11. Okay, this is the size of the filter. This is size. So anyone can ask, means what is the ideal? Okay, so anyone can ask what is the ideal size of the filter. Okay, what is the ideal size of the filter? So means we cannot decide, but you have to think. So let's say the size of your image is 8 by 8, and if you go with the 11 by 11 filter, it is not truthful. Okay, so based on your image size, you have to go with the size of the filter. So generally it is 3 by 3, 5 by 5, 7 by 7, 11 by 11, 13 by 13. Even though you can go with 31 by 31, no problem, but the size of the image should be high. Okay, so based on the size of the image, you can go with the size of the filter. Okay, so in past, just I'll try with the 3 by 3. Actually, the size of our images is around 220, sorry, either 256 or 128. So that's why we go with the 3 by 3 filter size. You can check it with respect to your problem, the size of the input. Just you have to go with that one. So here, just you can see, it's very simple. So when you go, or when you apply the this 11 by 11 size filter on this matrix. Okay, so the size of the matrix is 55 by 55. Yeah, here your formula is failed. So previously I told you that n minus f plus 1, but here just you can see it is 55 by 55. So that is only possible because of this stride. Stride means nothing. In case of stride, what you have to do, you have to skip, let's say stride equal to 4, then every time you have to skip 4 column and 4 rows. So let's say your the size of the filter is 11 by 11. Okay, so if you are going to use this type, there is a slight change in your formula. So that is n minus f by s plus 1. This is the formula. Okay, so n minus f means 227 minus 11 divided by 4 equal to 54, and plus 1 equal to 55 by 55. So that's why here 55 by 55 is there. Now, suppose we are talking, as we are talking about the medical domain data, so maybe possible your data will exist in the corners of the image. Generally, theoretically, what is there? The information inside the image will exist in the center of the image, but maybe possible you have some kind of data where important information exists inside the corners. So at that time, what you can do, you can pad the image also. So if you pad the image, then corner pixel values are also operated uh, 2 or 3 times based on the size of the filter. Okay, so let's say just I'll take the example, one very good example. So here just you can see, no, just I'll draw it here. So let's say the size of your image is 6 by 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Let's say 3 by 3 filter is there. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then what will happen? If you put that filter right here, okay, so just you can see this complete column is only operated by one time. One time you have operated on. And when you shift the filter, so next time you start from here and go like this. So second column will be operated 2 times. And in the next step, so just you can see third column is operated 3 times. Okay, so for a single pass, only the corner columns are only operated by one time. If you add 2 zeros padding, so what will happen? This column will also operated by 3 times. So padding is another concept. Okay. So in case of padding, the size of output image is same as input image. Always remember, same as input. So I'll let you know in the same slide. So here just you can see, first we go with the filter of size 11 and stride is 4. Okay, you got this 55 by 55. And what is this 96? So 96 is nothing, number of filters actually. Okay, so always remember at here number of filters is represented. At input layer it is your channels. Okay, and the size of your filter is always 11 by 11 into number of channels in the previous layer. So here the size of the filter is 11 by 11 by 3, not 11 by 11. If we talk about, okay, so after then we have to go with the max pooling. So in case of max pooling stride equal to S, so max pooling is nothing. Okay, so let's say this is your 6 by 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. So let's say this is your matrix. So max pool matlab what you can do, you can create a pool of, let's say the pool size is 2 by 2. So you can create a pool of 2 by 2 and pick the maximum value if you are going with the max pool. If you are working on the min pool, okay, so you have to pick the minimum value and just you put it here. Okay, similarly, you again shift it, then put it here, likewise. So this is pooling. So basically in pooling, actually, if every time the size of your matrix will be large, okay, so then means it's quite difficult to converge quickly. So pooling is one option to reduce the size of your matrix, number one. And another advantage is there. So because it is assumed that, let's say you go with the max pooling, so it is assumed that a pixel values, or you can say that values which are in the higher in nature as compared to other one, so they consist more valuable information. On the basis of that logic, we are trying to extract only maximum values, and just we have picked the maximum values. So automatically the size of your input matrix will change. So here just you can see, after applying the max pooling, so the size is 27 by 96. So in max pooling operation, there is no change in the depth of the filter. Now just here you can see, again the size of your filter is 5 by 5, okay? And here I have written same. Same means we are going with the padding, okay? And if you go with the padding, so there is no change in the height and width of your image, okay? Now previously it was 96, now it is 256 because we have applied the 256 filter right here. Again you go with the max pooling, okay? Then again you go with the convolution operation, then again you go with the convolution operation with same, then again you go with, okay, so at here max pooling is there. So up to now we are working in the convolution, okay, CNN, and now it is your ANN, okay. So up to this point of time we are working on the matrices. Now here we are working on the vectors. So at the output layer 1000 nodes are there. So because this model has been trained on 1000 classification problem, so that's why 1000 what we called 1000 classes are there. Okay, so hopefully up to this point of time, there should be some questions. Okay, because questions are not there, then it means you didn't understand anything. So
So
at
there
least.
are two questions in the chat box, sir.
Okay, sorry. Sir, no audio, I can't do anything for that one. Okay.
Sir, first question is, can a CNN be used for numerical value prediction?
Yes, yes, I am able to see. Can a CNN model be used for numeric value prediction? So I didn't get this point. If you are talking about the, actually there are two different kind of problems are there. One is the linear regression, another one is the logistic regression. Okay, so for the linear regression, your data in the form of series. Okay, so if your data in the form of series, then you have to go with the RNN. If the data in the form of images, then CNN is useful. So always remember, if suppose your data in the form of images, then you go with the CNN. If your data in the form of time series, or you can say that continuous data is there, or you can say that some numerical data is there, like weather forecasting, share market, audio, video. At that time, you have to okay. So okay, so another question is the channel for grayscale images may be two because of two colors. No, so for two colors, what you can do either 0 or 1. Okay, so for a particular cell, 0 or 1 values are there. So basically that value is ranging from 0 to 255. Okay, so channel is 1 in case of what we call grayscale images. Okay, so just I'll quickly come to that point. Okay. Okay, so another important concept is there, that is the transfer learning. So in case of transfer learning, what actually we are doing? So already you see, means in the previous slide, we have discussed about the LXNet. Okay, I'm typing some of the BG60 mobile net. Okay, so all such kind of architectures are trained on ImageNet data. Okay, so 1,000 classes are there, sorry, 1,000 classes are there, and millions of images are there. Okay, now the size of this ImageNet data is around 106 GB for training, and I think 16 or 20 GB for the testing. Okay, so just you can see, means all these models are trained on a huge data set. Okay, and number of classes are also too much. Okay, so it means whatever the weight and bias are there in LXNet or in VG16 or any other one, so that weight and biases are already optimized. Okay, so what we are doing in transfer learning, so in transfer learning, actually what we are doing, we are trying to utilize the knowledge of the previous one with respect to our problem. Okay, so like it's a kind of teaching profession. So in teaching profession, what we are doing, what we have learned in past with the help of books or teachers or any online content or our experience, just we are transferring that knowledge to the student. Okay, so means I know some kind of shortcuts, I know some kind of techniques to solve a particular problem. So we directly pass that knowledge to the students, and quickly students are able to solve the problems. Okay, so similarly in case of deep learning, this is another concept, that is transfer learning. So what we are doing in transfer learning, so basically already pre-trained models are there, and we are trying to utilize that model for our own purpose. Okay, so just here you can see. Okay, so now the question is that how we can utilize this transfer learning. So here some examples are there. So just you can see transfer learning for the small data. So yeah, of course. So I think all of you know that in case of deep learning, the size of your training data should be high. High means as such there is no definition of the high. But we can say that suppose I have only 10 samples or 100 samples, okay? So let's say we have a very small data set like 10 samples or 100 samples or 500 samples. So it's quite difficult to build a model from the scratch, not 500, just we take the example of 100. Okay, so what it means? Anyone can ask. So because number of samples are very less, so I cannot go with the deep learning. No, you can go with the deep learning. And in that case, what you have to do, you have to train pre-trained models on your existing data set. Okay, so in your case, only 100 samples are there. Just you apply the transfer learning. So in case of transfer learning, what actually happening? So just you can see it here. This is the architecture of any pre-trained model, maybe LXNet, maybe VG16. Now what we are doing, so this is our input. So I freeze the 90% of layer. Okay, what do you mean by the freezing of the layers? So whatever weight and biases are exist in this section, there is no change. There is no change in the during the training. Okay, there is no change. Whatever the weights are there, that is simply same. Now what you can do, because in this model, or we're talking about LXNet, so in LXNet 1000 classes are there. Okay, so but in my case only 2 classes are there. So what we have to do, so we have to change the last layer. We have to provide some kind of change on the last layer. And you can also unfreeze second last layer or last 3 layers. Okay. Now just you pass your this 100 samples in this network. Okay. So that samples goes inside this freezing layers. Okay. And after then it will come out here. Okay. And at this point of time, you calculate the loss. So while updating the weight, so weight only updated in this section only. There is no change in the weight and bias at this layer. So what is the concept behind it? So the concept is that because already this model has been trained on a very large data set, so we can say that weight and biases are optimized already. But we have to map this model with respect to our data set. Okay, so that's why what we are doing, we are updating the weight and biases at these layers. So this is the overall concept about the transfer learning. So in case the 3 different methods are there in the transfer learning. One is the transfer learning for the small data. So in case of small data, you train a few very less number of layers in the network. Okay. Say, let's say if you have a mid-sized data means we can't decide mid-sized data and large-sized data, but we can decide a small set data because if you are very close to 0, then it's very less. Okay, so in case of mid-size of data, you freeze 50% of the layer. So freezing of layer means there is no change in the weight and bias. And just you provide the update in the last layer because this is, let's say, last layer. So in pre-trained model, thousands layers output nodes are there. In your case, only 1 or 2, 3, 4 are there. Okay, so just you provide that here, train your model. Let's say if you have the enough data set. Enough data set means as much as possible. And if it is in the range of thousands, so you can say that enough data set. So let's say if you have the enough data set, at that time, what you can do, you can simply utilize the architecture of any pre-trained model. Okay, in that case, you have to train the complete architecture of any pre-trained model. So this is basic logic behind the transfer learning. Okay, so if any question, then just I'll quickly take. Just let me see it. I didn't get it. Which learning is most important in problems area? I don't know. I didn't get it. Just you clarify it. Okay, in the meantime, I go in detail. Okay, so just we come to, okay. Performance evaluation matrices are very important in case of, means with respect to every problem. So sometimes you can go with the accuracy, sometimes you can go with the precision, sometimes you can go with the recall, sometimes F1 score, sometimes true positive rate, sometimes false positive rate, kind of. Okay, so one of the metrics, one of the performance evaluation metric is confusion matrix. Beside it, AUC, ROC curve, one more is there, Cohen kappa, okay, diagnostic odd ratio. So many performance evaluation matrices are there. So with respect to your problem, you have to opt the performance evaluation metric. In some cases, time is also a kind of performance evaluation metric. Okay, so just I am taking one example why intelligently you have to select the performance evaluation metric. So the reason behind is that let's say all of you are working in the medical domain. So let's say you are working on a problem and you build a model, and the role of that model is that okay, this is your model. In that model, just you pass you can say that ultrasound image, okay, ultrasound image or any input. Okay, and problem is cancer versus non-cancer and non-cancer. Okay, so what actually happened? A person has doesn't have the cancer, but your model predicted it, sorry, non-cancer, and model has predicted cancer, sorry, cancer. What will happen? The person may be in the depression, maybe commit the suicide. Okay, so in case of medical domain, if disease is not there, okay, if disease is not there, then your model should clearly identify disease is not there. Maybe possible disease is there, but it can predict non-disease. So that will not create a problem. Okay, I think all of you understand what I'm to saying. So let's say a person do not have the cancer, do not have cancer, then model always say that no cancer. Person has a cancer, okay, if model predict it as a non-cancer, no problem. But this kind of situation will not be tolerated in medical domain, because a person do not have, but your model is predicting person has the cancer. So in medical domain, this is one of the important criteria. So please be careful, because uh, such kind of failure will lead towards a death of a person. Okay, so every time accuracy is not a performance evolution metric. With respect to your problem, you have to decide the performance evolution metric. So here one important matrix is there, that is confusion matrix. So in case of confusion matrix, just you can see this is predicted class. Okay, so means result by the machine, and this is actual class. Okay, so actual class means label. So while you are going to work with the image classification or disease classification kind of work, at that time your model means you have to pass the data as well as label also. Okay, so actually we are working on the labeled data. So here just you can see, just we are talking about the cat versus non-cat. Okay, so cat is predicted by the model or machine, and actual 90. Okay, so it means 90. Here just you can see the model has predicted 90 of them correctly and has misclassified 10 of them. So cat is by means level of image is cat, and the machine has also provided result that is the cat. So correctly classified, okay, 90, and 10 samples are misclassified. Okay, out of 1,000 non-cat images, so non-cat actual level is non-cat, and predicted class is also non-cat. Okay, 60 are referred as a misclassification or false positive. So generally if you go and study it, so it is represented as true false, true false. Okay, or you can say that positive and negative, kind of whatever you can, means different symbols are there. Okay, so here just you can see if you want to calculate the accuracy, so accuracy is 90 plus 940. So 90 means correctly classified by the machine, and label is also correct. So this is one case. So here 90 samples are there. Another case is there, non-cat, label is non-cat, and machine also predicted non-cat. So 90 plus 940 divided by 1,000 plus 100. Why 1,000? So 100 samples related to cat and 1,000 samples related to non-cat. So just you can see precision if you go with this, so true positive upon true positive plus false positive. Recall means true positive upon true positive plus false negative. Okay. Okay, so here formula is quite wrong actually for the precision and recall. Recall is wrong formula. So just you be careful while I'm saying the slide. So please just you this formula is wrong. So another thing is their sensitivity and specificity. Okay, so sensitivity is basically known as recall, and specificity equal to true negative rate. So true negative upon true negative plus false positive. So while you are going to compare the performance at that time, you have to check sensitivity and specificity in case of medical domain. Okay, so in medical domain, generally we don't go with the accuracy. We had to go with sensitivity and specificity. This is another important what we called important performance evolution metric, Cohen kappa, KK, K and K. So basically it is used in the medical domain actually. Okay, so the concept of this Cohen kappa analysis is there. That is the, here just you can see the example. So rater 1, okay, and rater 2. So a number of samples are there, total number of instances that both raters said were correct. Okay, so rater has means both the rater has the agreement that a number of samples are there which is correct. D number of samples are there where both the raters what we call has a agreement that it is incorrect. The total number of instances that rater 1 said were incorrect, okay, but rater 2 said were correct. And C number of samples are there where rater 1 said that it is correct and rater 2 said that it is incorrect. So very simple, you can say that very simple formula is there. So the what is the formula? So P0 equal to number in agreement. So A plus D divided by A plus B plus C plus D. So P correct A plus B. So P correct A plus B divided by A plus B plus C and A plus C divided by. So very simple formulas are there actually. And online tools are also there where you can find the means if you have the confusion matrix, so just you pass that confusion matrix in the model, sorry, in web tools, and it will generate the Cohen kappa statistics. So it is one of the important one. Okay, so now I'm coming to my own problem. So in my problem, just we had tried to, we have worked on the cardiovascular diseases. Okay, so basically we are trying to uh, check the asymptotic and symptotic cardiovascular disease. So basically in our veins, okay, so calcium and other metals will be deposited, and deposition of these different kind of metals in our body, it will create the problem for us. Or you can say that it is a main reason for the heart attack. Okay, so because let's say calcium deposited, then what will happen? The flow of blood is stopped, and if proper blood flow is not there, then what will happen? Heart will stop working. So cardiovascular disease are associated with very high mortality. Okay, as per the WHO report. Okay, so 17.9 million deaths are there everywhere. Okay, so CVD means cardiovascular disease are the third leading cause of mortality in USA. And the most common cause of CVD is atherosclerosis, by which plaque builds up on the wall of the arteries over time. So in arteries, if plaque will deposit it, then what will happen? It will block the flow of blood. And if some kind of situation is there, then simply heart attack chances are there. Now, so third, next point is there. Okay, so here we discuss about two things like asymptotic and symptotic. So in case of symptotic, means ready to blast. Okay, so it means the person is in the high risk. And asymptotic means, yeah, of course, some problem is there, but the person has the time to rectify the problems. Okay, so here just you can see one system is there. Okay, so in this system, the whole architecture of the system. So first of all, what we have to do, we have to collect the sample. Okay, ultrasound. So in the form of ultrasound. After then, what we have to do, we have to pre-process the data. Okay, so pre-processing of the data means maybe possible you have to go for the um, segmentation. Okay, so let's say you are working on a specified area. At that time, you have to segment the image. Maybe possible some kind of noise is there. Okay, maybe possible you have to add the noise for the better classification purpose. So you have to go such kind of thing, pre-processing. Even though in later slide we also discuss about the augmentation and all and why it is important. So just you can see, means first of all we have to uh, acquisition of the data. Then we have to pre-process the data, and after then we have to split the data in two parts. Okay, so why data? So in case of any artificial intelligence technique, you can say that machine learning or deep learning, your data should be divided in two parts. One is the training data, test data, and validation data. Three data should be there, and one by one I'll discuss. So basically in training data, just okay, I'll explain it. So training data is, so let's say this model is there. Okay, so you have to pass the training data to train your model. Okay, then after means during the training, what you can do, you pass the validation data to check the performance. Okay, and after building the model, you have to test the performance of the model. So we take one example. I think all of you are get confused with training, validation, and test data. So we take one example. So let's say a faculty is there who is teaching in data structure subject. Okay, so in the class, so this is your class. Okay, or you can say that model. So faculty will deliver the lecture. Okay, deliver lecture, pass the book, online resources. So all such kind of things will be provided by the teacher to the class. Okay, and the class will study from all different resources. Okay, so it means training is going on. And let's say after 30 days or after 45 days, suddenly teacher takes a small exam, or you can say that midterm exam. Okay. Okay, so in exam, you can check that model or the class is going in which direction. If the performance of the whole class is very good, okay, so it means your training is proper. If the performance of the class is not up to the mark, it means maybe possible some kind of problems is there in the training. So what you have to do, you have to, or teacher has to change the style, okay, for the better understanding of the class. Okay, so basically in validation set, what we are doing, we are regularly checking the performance of the model, and accordingly we are updating the model. Now, what do you mean by the test set, test data set? So basically, let's say uh, means midterm exam has been over, and finally university exams are there. And in case of university exam, if the performance of model is not up to the mark, then what will happen? Okay, So sorry. So let's say in university exam, if students will not perform well, in that scenario, what will happen? A student has to reappear. Okay. So reappear means again student has to learn the same things for a certain duration. You can say that for the 6 months or 1 year. Okay. So in case of training of the model, data has been passed for the training. For the test model, once you build your model, test data you will pass. If the performance of the model is not up to the mark, at that case, you have to demolish your model. Again, you will start from the zero. In case of validation data, so validation data will help uh, to achieve the good learning by the model. So this is a whole scenario in case of deep learning. So here we have to split the data. Okay, so this is your training data we will pass. Okay, training parameters. Okay, so training parameters, hopefully all of you know about the hyperparameter. So hyperparameter like dropout, learning rate, okay, then number of hidden units, number of hidden nodes, okay, batch size. So many hyperparameters are there. Learning rate decay, okay, these are the hyperparameters. Okay, so you have to adjust all these hyperparameters. Okay, so set of parameters and deep learning model. Okay, so after then what will happen? Training will completed. Your model is ready. So here you have to save the weight and architecture of the model. And in that model, what you can do, you will pass your testing data set. On the basis of that testing data set, just you predict the class. So here one more point is there, that is the characterization. So basically in characterization, we are trying to find out what kind of means either calcium is deposited or anything else is deposited in the artilleries. Okay, so artilleries. So this is the whole concept, or you can say that this is the whole architecture of my model, and this article is published in CBM. Okay, so I think just I close that one. Let me open. Okay, yeah. So this is our article. So anyone can. It is freely available, so anyone can access it and check that one. Okay, so this is, and in the author list, many authors are there. So in just you can see all of they are the doctor actually. Okay, so the reason behind is that we have to go with the clinical trial of the proposed model. So for that, if we don't have the doctors on board, okay, so it's quite difficult for the clinical trial, because all are the radiologists, so they will pass that image, ultrasound image in the model. Just they are trying to check that whatever the result will be provided by the model, and whatever the analysis is provided by the doctor, actually both are mapping or some kind of error is there. Okay, so that's why, so we have to go with, so anyone can get this article from online and they can study, those who are interested. So here just you can see all are the doctors. So let me increase the size, just you can see. So only 2-3 persons are there, I and my scholar and second guide. So just you can see it here. Okay, so rest are the uh, medicals. So all are the doctors. Okay, so MD and my MD PhD doctors are there. So this is article. So I'm not going into much detail about the article. Okay. Okay. So just you can see it here. 1 minute. Sorry, sorry for the some interruption. Okay, so just I'm coming to next point here. Just you can see. Okay, so this is the overall architecture of our model, and here just you can see these are the sample images actually. So I have directly taken it from the ArtKill. Okay, so just you can see, so means different kind of here, just you can see this is symptotic class, okay, symptotic and asymptotic. So because all these samples are manually annotated by the doctors, okay, so that's why means the paper got accepted. Otherwise, if you go with means you can say that lots of data is available in Kaggle and in different sites. So already it means the researchers has did lots of work, okay, and already they have achieved the accuracy of around 98 99%. So it's quite difficult for a new person to enter in that area. So in that case, what you can do is suppose those who are working, so they can go with the some kind of image pre-processing. Okay, so whatever data is there, just you go with some kind of new pre-processing techniques, and after that you process that data, and then you go for the deep learning or machine learning model. Just you compute the results, and that pre-processing part is act as a contribution, and easily you will get the your article will be get accepted. If you go with simply CNN kind of architecture, then it's quite difficult to publish in a good journal. Okay, so be careful, all those who are working. So as I have heard that some of the medical students are there, so I would suggest all they just collect the data. Maybe even though if it is 100 samples are there, so what you can do, you can go with the transfer learning, and definitely that article will be accepted in good journal. So here just you can see sample images are there. Now maybe possible. Uh, I think I don't know. You will collect the data in which format. So .nii format is there. In this format, multiple slices are combined. Okay, so you have to go with some different kind of tool where you can convert this .nii format data into the JPG form. Okay, so all such kind of things are available. Just you search, simply you will get similar kind of tool, online uh, cloud-based tool, and you can easily do it. So here just you can see our proposed CNN architecture, whatever we have proposed in the article. So this is our image, and here the size of the image is 256 by 256. So here just you can see means condition layer plus image pooling layer, both kind of layers are there. Okay, and it is converted, simply converted in 64 by 64 by 256. Okay, so 256 is there, it means we have used okay, so basically Yes,
Sir,
yes,
Sunit
yes.
Gupta, sir?
Just wait, sir.
Okay, 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 sir, okay.
Okay, so here just you can see the size of the image is 256 by 256 and it is converted in 264 by 64 by 256 because 256 number of filters are there. Now it is again 128. So in the next layer we have used 128, then 64, then 32. Okay, and after then we go with the flattened layer. Okay, and this model we have used and ran this model around 1000 epoch, 1000 epoch, and we achieve a very good accuracy. Here just you can see we have used the categorical class entropy formula. Okay, so with the help of this formula we have calculated the loss. Okay, so nothing, so yi is the actual value. Okay, actual means label provided by the uh, uh, provided in input data. AI is basically predicted value. Okay, so if we have both these two values, on the basis of that we can easily calculate the loss, and we have to optimize this loss. So here, yes, of course, so always remember anyone who is working on the this deep learning domain, so he has to compare, he or she has to compare the performance with all ML algorithms like Neo, Bayes, okay, random forest, okay, decision tree, then NN, okay, then SVM, okay. All these are the popular, you can say that traditional machine learning approaches. Okay, so all you have to compare it with. Then you have to compare with the TL, transfer learning, and then you have to compare with your CNN proposed model. So these things are required. Okay, if you don't go with all these methods, it's quite difficult to accept the paper in good general. You can go with the conference, no problem, but in general, I don't think so it will be accepted. So here what we did, so again, we have to pass the same image. We have to go with the feature engineering. So generally we have taken LBP, HU movement, okay, HSV. So these are some predefined what we call the features are there. Okay, and we have taken the combination of all these features. Many combinations are there, and with the help of that, just we have predicted the class. Now, so just you can see patient demography, okay? So symptomatic and asymptomatic, number of patients was 1000. So here just you can see total number of samples. So 2000 symptomatic and asymptomatic, mean age with the standard deviation. So the reason behind is that because these samples are collected, means in case of medical domain, you cannot conclude theory. Just we take one example of corona vaccine. Okay, so many trials are there. So we have to see the demography. We have to see the weather changes. Okay, we have to check that vaccine will not affect on different organs of the body. Okay, so similarly, while you are working on the medical domain data, you have to study the demography also. So here just you can see mean age with standard deviation 69.9 plus minus 8%. So just you have to show the statistics about your data. What is the standard deviation? What age group you have taken? Okay, how many females and males are there? So with that one you have to take care. So here just we have taken means more than 50 years, okay, minimum, and we reached to the 70, 75 or 80. And different places we have collected the data set. So here some descriptions are available. So basically this data has been collected from this place. And always remember, you have to also provide the machine, because let's say machine, different kind of machines are there. So again, may be possible that in your deep learning model will not perform well if you have captured the data from different machines. So you have to take care about this one also. Okay, so samples are there, then feature selection. So in case of deep learning, the features are automatically extracted. In machine learning, you have to go with the feature engineering section. At there, you will extract or you will decide the important feature, and on the basis of that, you can go for the classification purpose. So here another important point is there, that is the data augmentation. Okay, so here just you can see. So data augmentation means, let's say you have the samples. Okay, so what are the samples? Let's say just first I'll discuss at here. So here just you can see this is a image. Okay, what you did, just you have rotated the image for 180 degree. Again, the image belongs to same class. Just you have go with the mirroring. Okay, again same sample is there. If you rotate it like this 45 degree, the image belongs to same category. So rotation is one of the solution. Okay, what you can do, you can zoom in and zoom out. Okay, even though what you can do, you can add noise in your data set. Okay, so let's say Gaussian noise, or you can add noise using any method, even though the class is same. And more training data is one more solution for overfitting. Okay, so basically in case of deep learning, two important concepts are there. One is the overfitting, and another one is the underfitting. We have to take care about both the concepts. So, and the reason for the underfitting is training is not proper. Okay, training is not proper. That's why underfitting case is there. In case of overfitting, what is actually happening? Your deep learning model will memorize the data. Okay, so if memorize the data, then every time it will give 100% accuracy. So I'll give another example for the overfitting and underfitting. So let's say one teacher is there in the class, and teacher is teaching the any subject to whole class. What will happen? Some of the students are there, and some of the students are there who didn't study inside the class, even though they didn't study outside the class. Even though they didn't go with any kind of literature. So what will happen? When exam will be there, they will definitely fail. So the reason for the fail, that because the students didn't take the part in the training. Okay, that's why they have failed. So this is the case of underfitting. Means training is not proper, validation accuracy is very low, test accuracy is also less. Then it means it's a case of underfitting. Various methods are there to avoid the case of underfitting. One of them is more data. Similarly, we talk about the overfitting. So in case of overfitting, the best example is in a class, some students are there who memorize each and everything. So let's say teacher passed the notes, student has memorized. Teacher passed some link, student has memorized. Okay, some online resources shared by the teacher, or all such content is memorized by the student. So in that case, what will happen? If the question belongs to all these kind of sets, then student will get 100% marks. If you just slightly change the question, or question doesn't belongs to that set, the performance of that student will go down. So this is known as overfitting. So in case of overfitting, your model is trying to memorize the data, whatever data is there. So if it will memorize, and sample belongs to that part or that set, accuracy is 100%. Let's say samples samples does not belongs to that set, accuracy is only 30% or 40%. If such kind of case is there, then simply you can see that this is a case of overfitting. Various methods are there to avoid the overfitting. Various methods are there to avoid the underfitting. So you can say that means okay, so when all of you will start working in this domain, then you will also learn tips and tricks how we can control our model. Okay, so just we go. So we are talking about the data augmentation. So in case of data augmentation, again, more training data is one more solution for overfitting. Okay, so flipping of all the images can be one of the way to increase your data. Yes, of course, randomly zooming, noise, but always remember, let's say you are working on the numeric data and you cannot means go like this 96. Okay, so if you rotate it, rotate the numeric values, then 9 is converted in the 6. So you have to take care. Means all such kind of thing should not be there. So based on your problem, you have to apply the data augmentation technique. So this data augmentation technique is also used to enlarge your training data. Okay, so always remember in Python one library is there named Augmenter. Okay, Augmenter library is there. So what you can do with the help of that library, you can augment the data. So you can go with the data augmentation by 2 times, 6 times, 11 times, whatever time you want to create. Just in a 3 or 4 line of code, you can augment the data. Okay, so deep learning architecture. So here just you can see. Okay, one more important thing is there in deep learning or in medical domain data. So let's say cancer versus non-cancer. Okay, this is your problem. For the cancerous, only 10 samples are there. For the non-cancer, 100 samples are there. So what will happen? Your model is biased against this class. So always remember, you have means number of samples should be balanced. There should not be too much difference between the number of samples inside the class. So here just you can see accuracy in terms of balanced, that is 84.26. We have augmented the data, slightly improvement in the accuracy. So we go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and here just you can see with respect to 5x or 5 time augmentation, the accuracy is the best one. Okay, and again if we go with 6, 7, 8, accuracy is going down. So that kind of case may be possible. So you have to augment, and just you can see up to which level. Let's say you have augmented the data 10 times from 1 to 10, and always you are in the increasing order. Then what you can do, just you go with more kind of augmentation. But what is the issue? The issue is there, that is, let's say you have only 10 samples, and if you 10 time augment, it means using these 10 samples you are getting the 100 sample. What will happen? Many of the samples are in repetitive in nature. May be the case, it may be possible. So if repetitive samples you will pass, model will not learn anything. Okay, so please be careful. Okay, it doesn't matter, means you have the 200 samples, and if you go with 100 time augmentation, it will not increase your data, because many of these samples are repetitive in nature, and if repetitive data is there, model will not learn anything from such kind of data set. Okay, so some other layers are also there. So here just you can see, we have to also go with the different number of convolution layers. Okay, so it's a kind of hit and trial method. So just we have to apply some kind of variation in the number of layers, because we cannot decide how many layers is good for my data. So we have to go with some kind of increasing in the number of layers. So here just you can see for the 11 layer, the performance is good. And again, after then, if you increase the more number of layers, then it is going down. Or performance is not better than this 11 layer. Augmentation versus accuracy. So different models we have created here, just you can see. So with respect to each model we have to apply for different data sets. Okay, because we don't know which model is optimal. So here we have go with the, you can say that uh, hit and trial, you can say that. Okay, so here simply we have plotted all the things. Okay, some other results are there. So optimization point. So basically here what is, it's provide a kind of heat map. Okay, so here just you can see, this is your augmentation. Okay, this is your number of layers. This is another dimension, your what we called accuracy is there. It is providing a kind of heat map. So maximum red is fine. Okay, or in every graph you can find where the optimal point is there. Okay, so epoch versus accuracy. Okay, again, just you can see, we ran this model for 3000 epoch. Okay, so just you can see, initially the accuracy will improve. Okay, just again accuracy will improve or the constant, but not more than this one. Okay, so we can say that it is the wake through point. Okay, so yes, cross validation you have to apply. So one term is there, k-fold cross validation. Okay, and one more thing, you have to apply some kind of other operations, like let's say training data set, you have randomly sample, train, test. You have created randomly two data sets for the training and testing. You have to create around 10 different combination of training and test data set, because maybe possible with respect to one problem your accuracy is only 80%, but maybe possible for the different combination accuracy is 85. So what you can do, just you create 10 different combination of data set, run your model and take the mean, okay, arithmetic mean. So that arithmetic mean is the accuracy of your model, because anyone can claim, because you have created the data set, okay, randomly. So because you have created the randomly data set, so maybe possible training and test data set is splitted in such a manner that very good samples are there, or very good samples those are required for the training and as well as testing. They are means in a very good state. That's why your accuracy is there. So for that, to avoid such kind of situation, what you can do, you can create 10 different combination, run your model, you apply k-fold cross validation also, and by computing all such kind of things, then you conclude your accuracy. So this is my accuracy kind of. So here transfer learning, then just you can see many results are there. Okay, only results are there. So this is a kind of another performance evolution metric, that is ROC curve. Okay, so ROC curve, P is the test. So in statistics, P and T test are there. P test, T test, Z test, chi-square test. Different kind of tests are there. So what you can do, you can apply that test in your training data set as well as test data set to check the means how strong your data is. Okay, even though one more test is there where you have to find out that, let's say two classes are there. One is means positive class, another is the negative class. So this is the quality, means inside a particular class, all the data should be very close, and the difference between two classes should be high. So inter-class distance and inter-class distance we have to check. So inter-class distance should be high, sorry, should be minimum, and inter-class distance should be maximum. So that means it will represent that how your classification is going, good or bad. Okay, so TL optimization. Okay, so this is Cohen-Kappa analysis, feature extraction. Okay, so for the machine learning algorithms, we had taken combination of all these four: histogram, HU movement, local binary pattern, HOG. So we have created the combination of all these four. So 111, then 222, then 333, and then 4. Okay, so this is all about uh, results. Results are there. And here just you can see this diagnostic order ratio. Okay, so it is also one of the important performance evaluation metric. So basically what we are doing at here, so basically we are trying to find out the relation between sensitivity and specificity. Okay, so the formula is written, so you can, anyone can go with this one also, and you have to calculate the diagnostic odds ratio, and it is ranging from 0 to infinity. So maximum value of diagnostic odds ratio is good, and just you can see it here. As compared to any other model, this is the best one. Okay, so everywhere just you can see this is the maximum value. Okay, so this is the maximum, but this is another maximum. But if you see some other value, if we talk about the sensitivity, okay, so sensitivity is low at here. Here sensitivity is very high. So again, if you are working in the domain of what we call medical, then specificity and sensitivity is one of the important thing. Okay, so just we go with the DOR versus accuracy, Cohen-Kappa. Okay, so this is all about my presentation. Okay, so if you have any question, then just you can quickly type so that I can provide you the solution, and I'll share you the lab, and in that lab you can see just I'm typing in the chat window, the codes are there, and
sir, if you can mail it to me so that I'll share it with each and every participant, sir.
okay, I'll mail it. So I have typed in the chat window also. No, so many questions are there, I didn't see. Okay. Which
Sir,
learning is most important? No, sir, is transfer learning affected by reinforcement learning? I didn't, because reinforcement learning is different one. Okay, the concept of reinforcement learning is totally different, and transfer learning is different. So both are the different thing. But yeah, of course, you can means merge both of them also. Okay, so you can merge, but I don't know how you can. Okay, so just I am giving access to. Sorry, means I don't think so. I have given you permission. Okay, what I can do, I can provide access to Professor Manjunath. Okay.
Sir, give access to me so that I will have things. Sir. This is Pavan from ERSC.
Okay, Pawan, can you write your email? I think you have. Just wait. Okay. Request for access. Pawan, okay. Pawan, I got your email ID. Okay, so I'll share that sheet with you. Okay, so it will open automatically. Just wait. So share. So Pawan, you are the editor. Okay, so you can share it, and you can open and oh, many mails are there.
Sir, before Pavan completes the task, you can answer this question, sir. Once again, somebody has asked, when to use CNN and transfer learning?
Just wait. I'll check it and okay. Just where is the browser? Yeah, this is. Please tell me again when to the use CNN and transfer. No. Every time you have to use. Okay, so while you are going to classify the data using what we call the CNN, so every time you have to go with both the technique. You have to go with the no. I didn't get this point. Scope for genetic algorithms in CNN. Okay, so okay, so CNN is a kind of optimization technique. Okay, and in neural network, you can say that in CNN, you are trying to optimize the weight and bias. Just you see how you can utilize the genetic algorithm in CNN. I have applied, okay, GA in CNN for the completion purpose. The articles are under process, communicated with the IEEE transaction in so IEEE TETC. So wait for that one. Just you go and study that one, how I have utilized this genetic algorithm in CNN. So because in NN, actually what you are doing, you are trying to optimize the weight and bias. Ultimately, what it means, if you try to find out the optimal set of weight and bias, optimization is there. GA is also one of the optimization technique. You check how can make the what you can say, how you can make the convergence so faster using genetic algorithm. Okay, so I cannot reveal that one because 2-3 papers are communicated. So wait for some time, you will get. Okay, so because I have used genetic algorithm to compress the architecture of convolution neural network. Okay, so I am working on the compression. So
Sir, Sunit Gupta, sir, can you also share us the data set what you have used in the collab, sir?
No, sir. Because that data set is we cannot share because uh, we had taken a written permission. Means that data set is created by one university, and we have signed the NDA with them. So we cannot
Okay.
reveal that data set at our end. You have to contact them directly.